Let's start with something most crypto investors will never understand. Pi Network is deliberately avoiding the exchange listing rate. GCV 314159 isn't a marketing number pulled from thin air. It's mathematically intentional. Pi, the constant 3.14159. The community scaled this value deliberately. They treat it as aspirational. It's not about hitting that price. It's about what that number represents: ecosystem maturity and global economic ambition. That's the entire philosophy shift. Most tokens chase exchange listings to enable speculation. Pi is using community conviction to enable infrastructure building. Supporters frame GCV 314159 as symbolic. They stress trust over speculation. They emphasize patience and discipline. That's not how crypto usually works. That's how infrastructure gets built. So, this is what really separates Pi's strategy from every other blockchain project out there. Patience creates conviction. Conviction creates resilience. And well, resilience survives bear markets. Projects that rush to exchange listings create speculation. Speculation creates volatility. Volatility destroys communities during downturns. Pi's approach is slower, it's less exciting, but the community that builds through two bear markets without exchanges is fundamentally different from communities built on speculation. 50 million users with no exchange access represents massive conviction. These people aren't in Pi because they think it will moon next quarter. They're in Pi because they believe in the vision. That's the asset you actually want building your ecosystem. Pi Network positions itself as inclusive infrastructure. It targets real-world usage. It avoids energy-intensive mining models that exclude most people. Commerce pilots are operating globally. Payment experiments continue locally. The community prioritizes education. Builders focus on applications. Sustainable infrastructure becomes the value proposition, not token price. Over time, utility may define value. The community emphasis on preparation over hype creates foundation for that. That's radically different from token launches that pump first and figure out utility later. The graphic messaging is intentional. Rising market indicators, Pi branding front and center, upward arrows, signal future growth. But here's what's important. The messaging emphasizes inevitability based on infrastructure, not hype. Visuals strengthen emotional conviction, but the conviction is built on what's actually being constructed. 50 million users, expanding app ecosystem, commerce pilots, payment experiments. That's different from typical crypto marketing that shows moon-charts and promises without foundation. Alright, if this breakdown of Pi's infrastructure-first strategy and community conviction positioning just changed how you think about which blockchain projects are actually building sustainable ecosystems, you need to understand the deeper mechanics of how patient capital and long-term community building creates value differently than speculation does. Most creators talk about exchange listings and price predictions, but there's an entire intermediate layer where understanding adoption curves and infrastructure timelines determines whether you're positioning for real utility or watching from the sidelines. If this analysis of GCV 314159, 50 million users, and deliberately restricted timelines helped you see why patience matters more than hype, smash that like button right now. It tells YouTube this deep infrastructure strategy analysis matters, and it helps us push this kind of long-term ecosystem thinking to more people who actually understand how sustainable adoption gets built. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. When projects choose infrastructure first over exchange first strategies, we analyze what that means for long-term positioning. Let's keep going. Confidence persists despite delays. That's actually the most important signal. When communities maintain conviction despite restricted trading and unclear timelines, that's genuine belief. That's not FOMO. That's commitment. Major exchanges want liquidity. They want volume. They want to extract fees. Pi Network wants adoption. It wants utility. It wants to build on real usage. Those are different goals creating different timelines. Alright, so here's what I want you to walk away with. Pi Network is doing something crypto completely rejected, building infrastructure before enabling speculation. GCV 314159 represents ecosystem maturity vision, not a price target, a philosophical commitment. 50 million users have joined without exchange access. That's adoption based on belief, not FOMO. The core team controls timelines deliberately. That creates delays and uncertainty. But it also prevents the boom-bust cycles that kill communities. Mainnet migration continues. KYC processes advance. App development expands. Commerce pilots operate globally. Real utility grows slowly. That's not exciting, but it's sustainable. Visual messaging reinforces long-term conviction. Community sentiment stays resilient despite delays. Patience becomes the competitive advantage. Communities built through waiting are different from communities built through hype. Whether Pi eventually achieves GCV 3141159 or doesn't, the infrastructure being built right now is real. The adoption is real. The utility is being created slowly. For investors willing to think in years instead of quarters, Pi's patient infrastructure-first approach represents something genuinely different. Thanks for watching TJ Crypto World. If this breakdown of Pi's vision, community conviction, and infrastructure-first strategy helped you understand the difference between speculation-driven and utility-driven blockchain building, please drop a comment below. Do you think Pi's patient approach will eventually outperform explosive launches? And before you leave, check out our latest video on how blockchain ecosystems actually scale. I break down the exact mechanisms that separate projects with real adoption potential from projects that are just running casino games. The link is pinned in the comments. Stay philosophical, stay patient with long-term infrastructure, and I'll see you in the next one. Beats Christ.